Story 1. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom that I will never trust her with future relationships? I, 26 male, told my mom, 67 female, about a year ago that I could not trust her when it came to any future relationships. My mom and I had been talking about a trip where I had met a woman. My mom then asked if there were any plans for her to visit so she could meet her. I decided to be upfront and told her I wasn't sure if I would introduce anyone to her. When she asked why, I told her that due to how she had treated my last partner, I did not feel I could trust her with any future partners. She went to her room in tears. I've gone on many dates since then and never mentioned any of them to my mom. She thinks I haven't dated anyone for the last 4 years. In reality, she is simply the only one I don't tell. I do tell my dad and sisters, asking they do not share with mom. Now for some context on my mom's behavior in that long-term relationship. I dated Amy, fake name, for 6.5 years. My mom was great in the first year, showing interest in Amy and trying to bond with her. After that first year, Amy was kicked out of her family's house and my dad let her move into my room without charging us anything. Mom and dad live separately. Amy lived in my room for about 8 months until she moved out. The whole time, my mom complained about everything Amy did or did not do. At first, she only complained to me, but then moved on to complaining to Amy herself. The complaining became such an issue that Amy and I decided she was better off getting her own place, where I soon joined after. After moving out, my mom found other things to complain about. She blamed Amy for us moving out, and also being the reason we were barely able to afford renting a place. She started making comments about how Amy was gaining weight to our faces. We both were due only affording cheap food. Called her a druggie to me when she overheard my sister and Amy talking about weed, and a faker when she got injured in an accident and couldn't work. Eventually, it escalated to the point where due to my mom's disrespect, I told her to stay away from Amy and I. Here is the worst incident. Amy joined me to help Dad unload some furniture. We were surprised to find my mom also there. At one point, I left Amy with my mom for about 30 seconds to help my dad. When I came back, my mom had an oddly large grin on her face while Amy was silent. After we left, Amy burst into tears. She told me she couldn't tell me what my mom had said to her, as she didn't want to ruin the relationship between my mom and I. Half a decade later, I still do not know what was said. Amy was not perfect, but my mom had crossed the line multiple times. We tried talk to my mom about respecting Amy, and even went no contact with her due to her behavior. Problem is that my mom is in the early stages of dementia. She retains most of her memory, but many of the situations I've mentioned she claims didn't happen. This makes holding her accountable a problem. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Narcissists always forget what they did and said. It has nothing to do with dementia. As the son of a narcissist mother, this is exactly correct. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Good strategy, keep on with it. If you can't hold her accountable, preventing her from doing harm is your only option. Exactly. OP can't control what she does, but they can control how it affects them. Early stage dementia does not mean she cannot remember all the things she said to Amy. You have made a wise decision. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. I hope Amy is doing better now. But you really should have cut your mom off way before it got to that point. Sorry, but your mom is toxic and dementia or not. It's not an excuse for being an awful person. Seems like she can't stand not having control over you and loves to play mind games to drive off your partners. Carry on as you are. It's a consequence of her own actions, which were pure evil. You are completely right. Should have done something sooner. Things did not end amicably with Amy, but I still wish her the best. Story for another time. Not the a-hole. This is how my boyfriend's mom treats me. I am the terrible person who took her baby boy away from her, simply for the fact I exist. Good for you for protecting your partners from this. I speak from experience when I say it doesn't just hurt the relationship, it can destroy our self-esteem long after the relationship ends. Yes, this is more of the vibe I felt. Amy was ruining her baby boy. I was just reminded that when my mother found out Amy and I were intimate, apparently she cried at a family event, so every single member of my family knew. She had thought Amy was my first. She wasn't. Story 2. Am I the a-hole? I told my fiancé I would not take care of an English bulldog if we got one. My fiancé has always been around bulldogs. They were his childhood pets, and naturally, he absolutely loves them. Some of his close family members are part of the National Kennel Club, show them in dog shows, and breed them. All registered with proper health testing, etc., and very much not backyard breeders. In the event we would own a bulldog, we would likely receive a top-of-the-line bred dog with a championship-winning bloodline. I am not a huge dog person to begin with, but I especially am not a fan of this breed. I don't like them for a variety of reasons, which I'll list below. But my main protest is that due to our work situation, I would be responsible for 90% of its care. I am 100% prepared to take care of and love a family pet. However, I've made it clear that I do not want a bulldog, and I'm not willing to provide the extensive level of daily care they require. To provide background as to why I don't like or don't want a bulldog, I don't think they are an ethical dog breed. I don't support their breeding. I don't want to contribute to that market, nor do I want to own such a controversial breed. The extensive health issues and potential for super high vet bills. He argues that their breathing is perfectly healthy, however, I strongly disagree. We also plan to move to a hot climate within 5 to 10 years, which isn't really compatible with a bulldog due to their heat sensitivity. High-maintenance daily cleaning of their skin folds, ears, and tail would be my responsibility, and honestly, I'm just not down for that. They're not an active dog. I want a dog I can take hiking or on adventures, not a dog that can't handle a 45-minute walk. I'm not a fan of their personalities. Their hair is so coarse it makes me itchy all over, irritates my nose and eyes, and it sticks to absolutely everything. The snoring and snarling noises. I'm a light sleeper. The reason I'm posting is because my fiancé and I frequently disagree on this topic. Today I told him that with him working away long hours while I'm at home all the time, it wouldn't be fair to me or the dog for us to own one, because I'm not willing to provide such extensive daily care. I understand and respect that he loves this breed, but I genuinely don't want the burden of responsibility shoved onto me just so he can own the dog breed he had as a kid. I feel like I could be the a-hole since I'm pretty much telling him I wouldn't take care of an innocent animal, and that's obviously not right. However, I also feel like I might not be the a-hole because this right now is all hypothetical since we don't own one, and I'm just trying to convey the point that we shouldn't own one. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. You're saying, I don't want a bulldog because comprehensive list of reasons. He's saying, I want a bulldog because bulldog. You should win this one even if you weren't doing all the work. Wife is a vet tech. English bulldogs are on her list of dogs that should no longer be bred because it's inhumane. She's a huge fan of mutts though. Apparently they usually don't have as many problems as purebred or professionally bred dogs. Not always professional, which is another issue. I'm not sure I believe her though because my mutt is snoring in my face right now and absolutely refuses to sleep anywhere except in between us, so I'm pretty sure there's some problems. Not the a-hole. I am 100% prepared to take care of and love a family pet. Sure, a regular maintenance pet. That's not dogs. Dogs are chores on legs. Perhaps some nice fish. A lovely cat. Even a dog is fine by me, and I'd be happy to care for it. But a normal dog, not a bulldog with excessive care requirements. Like if I were to get a cat, I'd get a standard cat. Not a hairless cat or exotic cat, because I don't want to be responsible for the specialized care requirements. If we had any animal and they got sick, or circumstances changed where they required extra care, that's totally fine, and I would 150% take care of them in accordance with their new needs. But pets are a huge responsibility in general, and I just don't want to have added responsibility from the get-go on top of the standard stuff. Yeah, bulldogs are in their own category. I foster dogs, and I recently fostered a bulldog. I've never in my life come across a dog with so many maintenance needs. I had to watch YouTube videos on how to wipe down his skin folds every day, how to apply coconut oil to his body, including his nose, how to make sure he's breathing and eating and drinking. Okay, how to deal with his nails so they don't get inflamed, how to play with him without exhausting him. The list goes on and on. Anyone who thinks a bulldog isn't much more work than most other dogs has never spent a day with a bulldog. Not the a-hole. Not just for the reasons you list as to why this is a problematic breed, but because couples need to be on the same page when it comes to pets, and there absolutely are lots of other options out there. You're not saying you don't want any dog at all. You're open to a variety of them. He's only open to one type, which isn't a reasonable position. Story 3. Am I the a-hole for calling out my aunt for lying about having a condition that I actually struggle with? So some background. This aunt has a habit of copying everything anyone does and treats it like a competition. This also applies to illnesses. You mentioned getting ill. She is sick a day later and she always feels worse than you. Then acts like she never knew you were sick. 6 months ago, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease that doctors think I have been dealing with for years. The only reason they found it is because it very quickly got worse and has ruined my life. It won't shorten it, but I am in so much pain that I can't even walk to the store that is right next to my flat without feeling extreme pain and discomfort. My sleep is awful. My social life has become non-existent unless people come to my place. There is no cure for it. I'm on specific targeted medications to try and stop it getting worse. The best we can do is pain management at this point, and I'm on the strongest painkillers I can have, but it's still bad. When I was first diagnosed, I posted about it on my Facebook. Not in detail, just said what I had. The only person who knows the details is my mom. Yesterday, Mom picked me up so I could visit my nan. While we were there, Aunt turned up. We were talking about random stuff at first, but then she mentions she went to the doctors and they diagnosed her with condition I have, and they think she's had it for years. I thought she was lying, so asked her some questions regarding it, and every answer was BS. She claimed she told a doctor her symptoms, and that's how they found it, when you need blood work done to find it. She claimed that they were looking into different procedures to cure it, which again, no cure. When I asked what meds she was on, she said there wasn't any they could prescribe for it, and she had paracetamol to deal with the terrible pain she was in. She then went on about how it's affecting her life. It's made things difficult for her. Yet she does martial arts 3 times a week and goes clubbing every weekend like she's a teen and posts about it on Facebook. I lost it. I just went off about how full of it she was and that pretending to have something so serious when I was actually going through it was pathetic attention-seeking behavior. I pointed out everything she said that proved she was lying and said the only medical help she needed was for her head, as she clearly had issues. She tried to double down and say that she never knew I had it. She saw my Facebook post. She thought I would be more sympathetic as I know what she's going through, etc. At this point, I was so mad that my mom drove me home. My aunt then later posted on Facebook about her struggles and how some people just aren't sympathetic about this condition. I called her out in the comments of the post and mentioned what had happened earlier in the day, and a load of other families started calling her out for it, so she quickly deleted the post. However, my cousin, her daughter, is now calling me the a-hole as my aunt is upset I called her out. So am I? Now for the comments, not the a-hole. She is using your struggle to benefit her own personal gain. You aren't wrong for calling it out. I would say maybe out of respect you could have done it in private and made it aware how you don't appreciate her talking about an experience that she has no idea about. She can definitely victimize herself, but you did the right thing. You are not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. I'm sorry you are going through this, and your attention-seeking aunt is trying to one-up you by lying about a serious illness. Gray rock her. Don't allow her or her daughter access to your social media, and stop communicating with her beyond general pleasantries. Tell your mother to stop feeding her information too. Aunt can't copy what she doesn't know about. Mom never feeds her info. She's also been a victim of my aunt claiming to have something she has. Mom was diagnosed with severe asthma as a teenager. Now my aunt claims it's always her that's been diagnosed with it, even though my nan has said it was always my mom. Mom avoids her as much as possible and never talks to her unless she has to. I hate people that do this. I would strongly consider blocking her and her daughter on social media and seeing them as little as possible. Not the a-hole. Honestly, I already thought I had her blocked, especially because she is also the type to try and one-up in activities as well. This isn't the first time she's tried it with me, but before it was just trying to copy my skills in art. I literally posted something I handcrafted months after I had done it. She, in the comments of that post, then posted almost an exact copy in forms of subject matter, just a much lower quality. This behavior is impossible to change. They love to play one-upsmanship. They constantly have to one-up others to be one level more needy than them. They hijack all conversations in person and online. They always want to be seen as more than, better than, or suffering more than. It's toxic narcissistic behavior for which there is no fix. Most people like this end up becoming isolated as those around them finally decide to go no contact. Do the same for your own well-being. Family doesn't have to be blood. I have only 4 cousins, and I cut one out of my life years ago for being a selfish, self-centered egomaniac. No regrets. Not the a-hole. Aunt sounds like a narcissist. My mother-in-law keeps lying about having to have a cancer test to try to manipulate my husband into talking to her. We are no contact. It's a pap smear. A pap smear. She even told my husband all this bullcrap about how she may have cervical cancer and has to go to a cancer center for testing, etc. Well, I am high risk for cervical cancer and have actually been through the biopsies and tests, and she doesn't know what she is talking about. Also, I am a nurse. She has also fabricated his dad having a stroke. Yet he didn't go to the hospital, and she said he told her to not call 911 during the stroke. You can't talk during a stroke. I have had a severe aura that mimics stroke symptoms to the point where I was in the ICU. She also had his brother tell him that he may have prostate cancer. I am a urology nurse and poked more holes in his lies than Swiss cheese. It's truly exhausting. Thank you for listening. If you like the video, consider like and subscribe. If you want more stories like these, turn on your notification to receive the latest stories.